Hello friends, this is Roxanne, and today, I'm going to recap the 11th episode of the anime called Blue Lock. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. Isagi has the ball, and notes that he can see the field's future. He says that he knows who among Team Z can keep the ball rolling and running. It is revealed that Isagi is referring to Bachira, Kunigami, and Chigiri. Isagi says that the goal sent is coming from those three players. Ryo appears in front of Isagi, telling him that he'll put a stop to Isagi. Isagi believes that, for the last play, he'll be the one to score. Isagi will see through it that he'll be the one to kick the finishing goal, before Ryo can steal the ball from Isagi. Isagi passes the ball to Bachira. With his dribbling skills, Bachira cuts through the enemy line. While doing so, players from Team V catches up with Bachira. Desperate to stop him, Team V will even resort to fouling just to end Bachira's dribbling. Before Bachira is tackled by a player from Team V, he passes the ball back to Isagi. Isagi sees Chigiri and kicks the ball toward him. With his immense speed, Chigiri runs through the field. To stop Chigiri, Team V tries to outnumber him. To avoid the ball from being stolen, Chigiri passes it back to Isagi. Chigiri believes that they can score using a 1-2. Chigiri runs past the two players from Team V and waits for Isagi to pass the ball back. However, Isagi did not kick the ball back to Chigiri. Chigiri then realized that Isagi used him as a decoy. Isagi was planning to shoot by himself. While dribbling, Isagi notes that everything he predicted happened. Isagi remarks that he'll be able to score if he gets 45 meters closer to the goal. Meanwhile, Kyon was watching the match. Kyon says that he did not commit a foul to help Team Z. He felt that, instead of winning by doing nothing, there was something more important he needed to realize. When Kyon looks at Team Z's fighting spirit, he declares that he won't let himself become a person who'll just stand by and watch. After that, Kyogi passes the ball to Kunigami. Suddenly, Zentetsu appears in between them. Zentetsu kicks the ball, making Kunigami lose the ball. Zentetsu tells Kunigami that he won't let him do his mid-shot. The ball is now loose, with both teams desperate to retrieve it. Reichi runs toward the ball and picks it up. Reichi passes to Bachira. Meanwhile, Isagi remarks that he can see it, the field's movements. He can predict how Chigiri and Kunigami will move. Isagi finds the spot where he can make his goal. 19 meters to and from the left of the goal. Isagi runs toward that unmarked spot. If Isagi manages to get there, Isagi will have a 1-1 with the goalkeeper. Bachira sees Isagi asking for the ball. Bachira says that he believes in Isagi, telling him that this is their last chance. Just as how Isagi predicted, the ball is going toward him. Before Isagi can trap the ball, Nagi appears in front of him. Suddenly, Isagi's goal sent disappeared. With Nagi's sudden appearance, Isagi's goal sent disappeared. Isagi can't believe it. All he had to do was follow his goal sent and shoot the ball. Isagi frustratedly asks why Nagi was there, right in front of him. Nagi says to Isagi that he is the biggest threat on the field right now. Isagi does not know what to do. The ball is slowly going down, reaching both Isagi and Nagi. Isagi runs toward the empty patch before Nagi can get it. While running, Isagi remarks that he will have to outdo Nagi's trapping skills. Because of this, Isagi loses confidence. Isagi cannot do those outrageous traps that Nagi can do. Isagi believes that Team Z's victory is now impossible. He can't picture the goal anymore. He can't see the future where they win anymore. Isagi, in his mind, concedes defeat. Meanwhile, Chigiri yells at Isagi to call his attention. Kunigami then tells Isagi to pass to him. However, Isagi does not want to. Isagi wants to score his own goal. Isagi then remembers himself scoring his own goal in the previous matches. Isagi then remembers Igo's lesson about the formula to produce goals. Isagi believes that the missing puzzle piece is Isagi's trap piece. However, Isagi will automatically lose to Nagi since he is just a regular player when it comes to trapping. With that in mind, Isagi rejects the idea of trapping the ball. Isagi then realizes that the final piece to complete his goal, his missing puzzle piece, was through a one-touch shot. Isagi believes that his formula to score goals is through utilizing his spatial awareness and direct shot. Isagi does a direct shot. The goalkeeper of Team V failed to stop it, thus earning Team Z another point. The score is now 4-5, with Team Z in the lead. At this moment, Isagi has awakened. On the other side, Zentetsu and Ryo cannot believe what happened. Ryo cannot accept the fact that he lost. Nagi then tells Ryo that they still have time. If they can score 2 more goals, they can win against Team Z. However, after Nagi said that, the buzzer rang to signalize the end of the match. The game ended in the victory of Team Z. After losing, Nagi tells Ryo that it feels frustrating to do his best but still lose. On the other side, Kyo-an watches Team Z rejoicing after their win against Team V. Kunigami calls Kyo-an and tells him to join them. Kyo-an rejects his offer and tells him that it's fine. Kunigami tries inviting him again, however, Reichi tells him to stop. Reichi says to Kunigami that no one can erase the betrayal that Kyo-an did. Plus, Reichi notes that he hasn't forgiven Kyo-an yet. Nonetheless, Reichi believes that thanks to Kyo-an grabbing Nagi's head, Team Z didn't lose. This shocks everyone in Team Z. Reichi then says that he hates Kyo-an, but he'll move past his betrayal with a punch. Igaguri, Imamura, and Aiman agreed with Reichi. After that, Kunigami helps the fallen Kyo-an stand. Kunigami invites Kyo-an to celebrate together. Kyo-an then apologizes to Kunigami. Subsequently, the buzzer rang, announcing the results of the first selection. With the end of the first selection, Team V and Team Z survived. Plus, the top strikers of Team W, Team X, and Team Y will also advance. Junichi Wanama with 6 goals, Nico with 4 goals, and Shibero with 10 goals are the top strikers. At Team Z's room, they celebrate their win against Team V and their survival in the first selection. Kyo-an asks if someone can get some drinks. Bachira and Isagi volunteers. At the 5th Stratum dining hall, Bachira and Isagi pick up the water bottles. Isagi then thanks Bachira for passing to him. Bachira then says that he doesn't need to thank him. Bachira notes that Isagi was able to score because Isagi agrees in an unsure manner. Isagi thinks that he was able to understand a bit more about his weapon in the previous match. Isagi realizes that he can predict future events on the field with his spatial awareness. Besides, Isagi noticed that all of his goals had been a one-touch shot. Now that he understands his skills, Isagi believes that he can now create his formula. Isagi feels like he's one step closer to becoming the world's best striker. Then, Isagi notices Bachira staring at him. Isagi felt embarrassed after saying too much. However, Bachira laughs it off and tells him he's slowly improving his ego and confidence. Bachira jokingly repeats the words ego in a chanting manner. Bachira says to Isagi that he makes things interesting. Bachira then gives Isagi a high five. After that, Bachira gives Isagi a fake-out chop. While laughing, Bachira and Isagi notice some players walking outside. All of them were crying. Isagi realized that they were all evicted players from the losing team. Meanwhile, Nico appears in front of Bachira and Isagi. Nico explains to Isagi that he realized something during their match. After seeing Isagi score, Nico changed his play. Nico started making goals for himself. Nico tells Isagi that Nico's still in Blue Lock thanks to Isagi's goal that day. Nico then declares to Isagi that he won't lose next time. Isagi then says to Nico that the reason Isagi survived the first selection was thanks to Nico. Isagi accepts Nico's challenge and tells Nico that he'll win next time too. Bachira then jokes and says the Isagi is quite popular. Bringing the drinks that Kyo-an requested, Bachira and Isagi enter Team Z's room. Upon entering, they see their teammates sleeping on the floor. Everyone was exhausted after playing and celebrating. Next, Team Z will have to face the upcoming challenges. Survivors of the first selection prepare for their following trials up ahead. Meanwhile, at Team Z's room, Reichi screams furiously at the monitor. Frustrated, he demands Ego to clarify why the second selection will not start immediately. Ego replies, saying that it will take time before the next trial to begin. To compensate for the waiting period, the players would instead undergo extensive physical training. During the said training, players will not be allowed to handle the ball, no matter the reason. Shortly after, Aiman and Igaguri join Reichi's complaints. Annoyed, Ego tells Team Z to not get too arrogant. Ego reminds them that their team is the lowest among the whole facility. Also, he notes that the training will only stop until he tells them to do so. Several hours later, the hellish physical training started. Their program consists of 2-hour endurance training, extreme trunk training, weight training, and sprinting. After the sprinting exercises, players are allowed to rest during their dinner time. Nonetheless, most players, like Isagi and Naruhaya, find themselves too exhausted to even eat. 3 days passed. With the hellish training still ongoing, players of Team Z were pushing their body's limits every single day. As a result, some players were vomiting because of extreme fatigue. Luckily, after 10 gruesome days, Ego announced that the first selection has been completed in all of Blue Lock strata. Ego then instructs the remaining players, those who survived the first selection, to put on their training suits and proceed to their corresponding stratum's basement. After hearing the announcement, Team Z is ecstatic. Their hellish training is now over, and they are now one step closer to becoming the world's best striker. He then greets his so-called unpolished gems and congratulates them for working hard during their previous training. Afterward, Ego declares that not a single player in the basement came from the first, second, third, or fourth stratum. He reveals that none of those strata existed in the first place. Instead, there were 5 strata considered as the 5th stratum. Ego explains that he did this to make the players believe that they were among the worst in the facility. By doing so, all of the players fought painstakingly to prove their worth. After Ego's revelation, some of the players were displeased. A player shouted furiously at Ego because of his dishonesty and betrayal. Ego remarks that by misleading the players, he was able to shred the players' soft hearts and confidence. By doing such, he was also able to nurture a goal-hungry mindset so that they might have the potential to become the world's best striker. He comments that Blue Lock was created for the sole purpose of cultivating players who starve for goals. Following this, Ego announces the start of the second selection. The start of the second selection commences. Ego remarks that the players have grown from level 0 to 1 after the first selection. Now, by utilizing the state-of-the-art training facilities, the players will be able to advance from level 1 to 100. Ego then explains that the second selection will have 5 stages. Only those who have cleared all stages are allowed to pass the second selection. Moreover, Ego reveals that those who clear the second selection will have the shortly after. Ego ends his announcement and tells the players that everything is up for them to decide. Only those who have mentally prepared themselves are allowed to enter the gate to the second selection. Also, players must enter individually, separating themselves from their teammates during the first selection. After the screen went off, most of the players looked around the room. The majority were reluctant to try the first stage. Nonetheless, an unfamiliar player went and picked up 2 balls. He kicked the first ball, allowing the ball to move in a tall yet gentle curve. Soon after, he kicked the second ball. However, unlike the first ball, this created a low curved shot. Surprisingly, both balls hit each other halfway. Isagi is left shocked and bewildered after witnessing the stranger's skills. Isagi wonders who that player is. Meanwhile, the unknown player walks up in front of the gate to the second selection. He instructs the gate to be opened, noting that he has finished warming up. After the unknown player enters the gate to the second selection, his name flashes. Apparently, his name is Rin Itoshire. After hearing Rin's last name, Igaguri wonders if he was the Itoshire that is considered one of the top 11 in the world of the new generation. However, Imamura tells Igaguri that he is mistaken and that the Itoshire he may be referring to is Issei Itoshire. Because of this, Igaguri wonders who Rin Itoshire could be. Thus, Rin became the first player to clear the first stage of the second selection. Meanwhile, Igaguri doubts his place in the Blue Lock facility. After seeing Rin's display of talent, Igaguri notes that he is still halfway compared to him. Because of this, other members of Team Z also doubted themselves. Nonetheless, Isagi moves forward. Isagi remarks that he wants to become stronger. And this brings the anime to an end. Comment for part 12. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on another video. Until next time, take care.